invoicing is growing fast, and one of the reasons behind that is that governments are adopting it to a much greater extent. They want to have access to business information in real time. And yes, it helps government to get access to years and years of invoices, documents, and receipts in a much agile way, instead of the retroactive traditional approach known as post-audit, where auditors get the information long after the transactions are over. Moreover, this information is not detailed enough, as it relies on data stored by the very business they are seeking to audit. Invoicing is a very good tool, and it helps governments because once they can have access to the transactions or transaction data in real time, they can also audit companies in real time, right? To do this, governments, they started introducing some controls, and these controls, they are called continuous transaction controls, or CTC. And through the CTC, governments can have access to detailed information in real time. This sounds really fair and good, but there is a great variety of these CTC models, and they differ a lot from each other. This puts demands on companies, especially because they're gonna have to comply in different ways in different countries, and these demands, they are continuously being revised. And to have an idea what I'm talking about, I'm gonna list 6 different CTC models being used today around the world. First up, real-time invoicing reporting, or RTIR. In this CTC model, the subset of the invoice or the whole invoice must be reported to the tax authority after it is exchanged with the taxpayer. And then we have the clearance model. In this CTC model, the invoice must be cleared or validated via the tax authority's appointed platform, normally before it's sent to the buyer. The next model is where a country establishes a single platform, not only for real-time validation of the invoices, but also for exchanging them between supplier and buyer. And this one is referred as centralized exchange. And we can say that in countries like Turkey, it was the approach from the beginning, while in Italy, it started as a B2G initiative. Next up, we have interoperability. In this way, the buyer has a service provider and the seller has one too. And the service provider is responsible for issuing, validating, sending, and receiving the invoices in a predefined way. This is not a CTC model because it has no real-time communication with the tax authority, but it sets us up nicely for this kind of evolution since you now have started with the electronic exchange. PEPL is a great example of this. It is a network that allows the exchange of various e-documents. PEPL's latest variant is called PEPL CTC. And here, already validated transactions can be sent to the tax authority in real time. So as invoices can be sent from supplier to buyer as part of their everyday activities, they can also be shared with the tax authorities. And this approach is also known as DCTCE, or Decentralized CTC Exchange, or even Six-Corner Model. And that leads us to the final variation, which is in use currently only in France. It's a mix of centralized exchange, the one where the country adopts its own platform, and the one I have just explained, the Six-Corner Model. All these models, they have their advantages and disadvantages. What's important here is to know what is required from you and where to find the right help, so you're going to be compliant without taking too much of your administrative time. Pagero supports all the CTC models and country-specific variations, so you don't have to be worried about CTC compliance. You let this with us. And if you want to know more, please contact Pagero.